Hi guys, I am here with the sorry. I am here with the true hospice story of Ellen. These are told by their hospice nurses. Okay, this one, of course, like I said, is called Ellen. Something is holding her. You need to find out what it is. And this one is by the hospice nurse, Trudy Harris. And I really, really like her. You can find some of her videos of her talking more about her patients on YouTube. Trudy Harris. Life had been hard for Ellen from the beginning. She had a child when she was only 15 years old and had been on her own for all the children's early years. She simply yearned for a normal life and someone to love her. So often, young people who do not feel connected for any number of reasons, death, separation, divorce, look hard for that place where they can find some semblance of order and peace. They long to be accepted and to belong to someone. A baby, though very loved, did not do for Ellen what she had hoped for, and she was forced to raise her son on her own, which was difficult. By the time she was 30, she had been married to a good man for a few years, but her oldest son was a rebellious 15-year-old and had gotten into drugs. She realized he was now at the age she had been when she gave birth to him. But he would not stay in school or observe any of the family rules. This caused disruption for the entire family, which now included 3 little ones. In desperation, she did the only thing she thought would help the rest of her family. She made the very hard decision to have him leave the home, since no amount of discipline or intervention redirected his drug use or his lifestyle. For the next 20 years, she and her husband raised a happy, well-adjusted family of 3 children. Although she didn't hear from her eldest son again, he was never out of her heart or her prayers. Now, in her early 50s, Ellen was dying of end-stage pancreatic cancer, which had spread to many other parts of her body. Her husband and children loved her dearly, and she had done well by all of them. They had grown up to be fine men and women, and the thought of life without their mother was impossible for them to comprehend. Unable to remain at home because of her uncontrolled pain, she was admitted into the hospice center for care. She rested pain-free and comfortable for the first time in quite a long time. Something, however, seemed to be keeping her from the peace that she and everyone else were hoping for. Something is holding her, her insightful and caring surgeon said to me one day. You need to find out what it is. She's lived much longer than we could have expected, and she is suffering on many levels. Ellen's husband felt that for his wife to let go and die, well, she would need final closure with her firstborn child. After many conversations within the extended family, an aunt admitted that she had remained somewhat connected to him over the years. She gave me his phone number, and I called him that day, explaining the circumstances of his mother's medical condition and her need to see him again. It was hard to imagine that this 35-year-old well-spoken young man was the son of a 50-year-old dying mother who had to insist he leave the home so many years ago. He was wonderful to speak with and wanted to visit her immediately. He needed to see how quickly he could get the funds together for a flight from California to Florida. Esprit de Corps, a group of young professionals in our community, have been creating awareness and fundraising events for the benefit of our hospice patients for many years. I called them immediately, sharing the plight of this mother and son and the need to get him to her as soon as possible. The wheels began to turn immediately, and a fundraising event was set up for the very weekend. A wine tasting at a small, well-known bistro was arranged, with all proceeds going to the flight cost of this important visitor. Esprit de Corps was a group of strong, committed professionals who had chosen hospice as their cause. Their founders were young executives in corporations, law firms, financial houses, banking, marketing, and public relations, and they knew how to do their jobs very well. This group was so highly respected and well known that the mere mention of the name Esprit de Corps brought corporation heads and those in local government and medicine to their feet. They worked tirelessly for many years, raising the important dollars needed to care for terminally ill and dying people. The hospice program they chose to support would never be where it is now, serving 1,000 patients each day. Without her compassion, dedication, and support, in everything they did, they reflected the mind and heart of Jesus himself, and they followed his lead in caring about others. Esprit de Corps raised the money immediately, and the son arrived by the following weekend to be with his dying mother. The smiles I saw spread across the faces of everyone in the family as the door opened is forever etched in my mind. They simply fell into each other's arms amid tears and hugs and kisses. Half-brothers and sisters surrounded them as well. Rembrandt himself could not have painted a more exquisite picture of love and forgiveness, joy and heartbreak than this reunion at the end of a mother's life. The door was closed behind them, leaving only a mother and son inside. He told me later how sorry his mother was to have sent him away. She told him that she felt she had so few resources at the time and tried to no avail to change him. She felt she simply had no other choice. He shared with her the fact that he always hated not having a father of his own and felt badly when his friends had their dads involved in their lives. Much of the time he was sad that he did not have someone who was old enough to guide and love him, a sadness he covered with anger. He remembered how hard her husband had tried to be a father to him, and how he had responded in many ways that only made things worse. They understood each other's pain and inability to give to the other. They forgave and forgave and forgave each other, and it allowed them to experience a peace that can come only from the heart of God. He told her that by God's grace alone, a wonderfully family well grounded in their Christian faith had taken him in, and he had felt loved and understood for the first time in his life. Belonging to this family had enabled him to finish high school and to eventually, with help, graduate from college. Ellen saw in person the answer to the prayers she had said for so many years, begging God to keep this son in his care. He brought pictures of his young family, and Ellen was grateful to see the grandchildren she would not ever get to know on earth, but would see later in heaven. She died 3 days later, at peace with her son and family, and longing to see the face of her God. I hope you guys enjoyed Ellen's story, and I hope you guys have a good night.